exam is on Friday.
You should check.
You can
waste more time.
Exam because Tuesdays are brown, and then Wednesday and Fridays are orange days, and I think it goes
Do we have orange Thursday?
1-3 on Wednesday and 2-4 on Friday. So you guys are on Friday.
You're Friday.
99% sure. What are we doing on Wednesday, Mr. Poole? You can ask any questions you have. Mr. Behringer might be finishing his exam if he doesn't have it done before then, which obviously he will. Chapter 4 test that he was not here for. Okay, I'll answer any questions that you have, and you'll have opportunity to study, obviously, for your other classes. We'll be learning nothing in here. We will not be playing games here. We'll not be doing anything other than studying for your final exams in here, quietly.
What about Counterstrike?
No laptops will be out, no games will be out, no nothing.
That's not
it's
game.
exam
This is
week.
communism.
Okay, so let's move
It's a
on with where we're
strategic
at. I don't even have my next button here. I don't even know how
This
I'm
is
going to do
total dictatorship.
Okay, so this is the slide where we stop at how the operating system uses devices. Okay, number one, how does the operating system use use hardware?
Drivers.
What? Right. Here's my question. Drivers are the programs that lets the operating system use the hardware. Okay. Now, when I install Windows XP or Windows 7 or Windows 8, lots and lots of those drivers are included on the disk, and stuff just seems to magically work. It had the drivers. It's just Microsoft knew about that hardware when it built the disk. Okay, but there's newer stuff out there that you get that XP doesn't know about. So you'll probably get a little. Most of them come with little CD-ROMs like this anymore. Okay. Come with little. If you didn't know, somebody first of all didn't know. You know, when you look inside your CD-ROM tray, there's two circles. There's a big circle, and there's a little circle. Little circles for your little disk to go in. Okay, and it reads it just the same. So you get drivers like this. You have the opportunity to download drivers. Those programs make the hardware work, okay? So when it's installed, a lot of those drivers are already on there. Sometimes you'll get stuff that doesn't work, okay? Drivers are usually written for a particular operating system. You can't use Linux drivers or Mac drivers with Windows. In fact, you can't use Windows XP drivers with Windows 7. They're written very specifically to work with that operating system, okay? So when you go to download drivers, if it says Windows XP and you got Windows 7, you certainly could try it, but it probably won't work, okay? And I have tried them before just because I'm desperate. You know, I got to get this printer to work on Windows 7, so I'll try the XP drivers, and usually it does not work, okay? So drivers are software or programs that make hardware work. Now, let's see, is that where my next button is? No? Is that where my next button is? Did I go back or did I go forward? Let's see, okay, so that's back, that's forward. Back, forward. Okay, so they used to come on floppies, now they really come on CD-ROM. I don't know why my bar went away. If you can download them, you should always download them. If you have the choice between using a CD and you have internet, and going to the manufacturer's website and downloading them, always download them. Always download them.
Wait,
why?
The CD or that?
Because it's up to date.
If I have the CD, but I can get online to get the updated one, why would I want to get this one?
Because it's updated.
Because updated. They wouldn't have made a new driver if there wasn't something wrong with this one that you've got in your hand. Some reason they changed it. And if you go and it says from 2008, you just got this 2012, that's probably not updated. It's probably the same one. Okay, but if they updated it, you want the update because there's some reason that they updated. So always go online and get the updates. Now I'm not finding the next button. There we go. Here, I need to. Next button's right there. Okay. So form factors. Form factor describes the size, shape, general makeup. Form factors ensure that the motherboard, power supply, and the case match. And the form factor, really, the CPU and the memory have to match the motherboard too. Now, it says in the book that the motherboard drives the decision. That's true, because once I have a motherboard, I have to match up the power supply, I have to match up the case, I have to match up the CPU, right? And have to match up the memory. However, if I was determined that I am going to use this CPU, I bought this CPU, my Uncle Jack gave it to me, it was free, it's brand new in the box, I love this CPU. It's not like I can't go, okay, I need a PGA 479 slot. I think that's what this was. Okay, so And then I pick a motherboard, and then now the motherboard drives everything else, okay? But in general, the motherboard drives all of our decisions when we make it, and the motherboard really determines what kind of system we have, okay? I can put this CPU, let's pretend it's a better CPU than it is. Let's pretend it's an i3, okay? A more current CPU. I can put this in a gamer, a business, a server, a home PC, okay? But the motherboard really determines what kind of functionality that PC has. Because if I get one with low memory, then I'm not going to be able to build a gamer. Okay? If I get a motherboard that doesn't hook up more than one hard drive, I'm not going to be able to build a server. Okay? So the motherboard really decides all that stuff. So in the exam, you can definitely expect me to say, what is this motherboard best for? And I'm going to have the, on the website down here, just in case you forgot, I've got the motherboard PowerPoint requirements just to remind you of the things that I said really are important for home, business, and gamer. Okay, and home, it's just cheap, right? Gamer has to have those better video ports, okay? So if I give you one, you need to be able to go and figure out what it's best for. Now, the difference between a gamer and a business PC, sometimes they're really close. The only difference between business and gamer is what? Number of video cards. It's the only thing. Because a business PC, you don't need two high-end video cards. You definitely want one. Okay? And even in a home PC, realistically, I would want one good video card slot. Okay? Building my son a PC for Christmas, it only has one PCI X16. Why? Because I ain't ever going to buy him another one. Okay? He's never going to have two in that computer. Ever. Because I can't afford to buy him two high-end video cards. He's only going to have one. It only has one PCI slot on that motherboard. It's a micro ATX. Okay? It only has one PCI slot. But I can't think of a single thing I'm going to put in it on a PCI slot. He just wants a hard drive, CD-ROM. And you know what? It only has two SATA ports. One's hooked up to the hard drive and one's hooked to the CD-ROM. If you wanted more hard drive space, too bad. You've got to replace it. Okay? But I'm putting a relatively big hard drive in there for you. Okay? So it's not like you couldn't make use of a low-end motherboard on a gamer PC, but you'd be at the limit of it right then. You'd be boom. There's nothing else I can add on his low-end motherboard there. Okay, so the motherboard drives what I'm going to be able to do. Let's see if I put my look there. Okay. So matching form factors assures the motherboard fits the case, the holes line up. You got to make sure the power supply is the right kind of power supply. You got to make sure the holes in the back or the back panel line up. And you got to make sure all of this stuff connects up to make sure it works. And that's what form factor is about. We know there's a bunch of different form factors, but ATX, dang, I lost my pen. Oh, okay.
What's flex ATX?
Okay. It means that it's kind of ATX. Flex ATX means it doesn't have the holes that line up, but it has the right power. So it's like you have to get a case that goes with it. It might be a totally weird configuration, but all the plugs would work. A micro and a regular ATX just has the holes still line and stuff. Micro is obviously much smaller. Okay, it's been around since 1995. That doesn't mean it's bad. Wow, that's weird. My lines are even showing. Okay, doesn't mean it's bad. Just the holes have not changed since 1995. Has the power supply plug changed?
Yes.
Yes, right? We have 20, and now we have 24 pin, and that's why I showed you a power supply that slides on and off, because if it's ATX, it can take either one. Realistically, a new ATX takes 24. And old ATX takes 20, but they still would fit in the same case. The screw holes would still align. So if you have a computer that your parents gave you back in 2000, and it's ATX, you still don't have to buy a new case. You can use that same case and upgrade everything inside of it, okay? And the slots were moved in order to make it align so that basically the difference between AT and ATX is all this stuff lines up in an ATX, and the slots, expansion slots, are on the side, so they can be as long as you want without anything being in the way. Whereas the AT wasn't lined up the same. So with an ATX, you always have, I wish I could switch my color, but I don't know where my pen button is. Actually, can I do it from here? Let's see. Nope, there. I don't understand. Okay, so anyways, I got my back panel, I've got my CPU, and I got my memory. I obviously need a restart or something. Something's going on funky. And then I've got all my expansion slots out here to the side, and whether it's regular ATX or micro, my son's micro just has this and one PCI, and that's it for the board, whereas a standard PCI or a standard ATX case goes out farther. Now I do need, what?
Did you know your note has a URL too?
That's because it's not, that's the web page I was at. See, it's not rewriting, when I go there, it's not covering up the whole screen. I don't know what's wrong with the app, but
It's ridiculous.
yes, it's ridiculous. Okay, so you definitely need to be able to look at a motherboard and tell me some stuff about the motherboard, right?
Well,
So what
it's
kind of
close.
CPU goes in this motherboard?
AMD.
AMD. Now I know for two reasons. Number one, it's a what kind of a socket?
Yeah, PGA.
It's a PGA and a, what's the other kind of socket is?
Zip.
Okay, it's a ZIF or PGA. ZIF meaning zero insertion force. I got the little lever arm. PGA meaning it's a pin grid array. They both go hand in
And it
hand.
says AM3
And it says
plus.
AM3 plus right there, which if we remember from all of our presentations, AM3 plus is an AMD motherboard. Okay, so I should be able to say what kind of CPU goes in there. I shouldn't be able to trick you. If I say an Intel motherboard goes in this, Intel CPU goes in this motherboard, true or false, you should say
False.
false. Okay, there should be no question. You know that an AM3 plus is an AMD socket, so no, that can't go in there. Okay, how many volts is that plug right here?
3.3.
3.3 volts. If it's not in my notes, it should be in my notes. Okay, 3.3 volt plug. How many volts is this plug right here?
5.
12. Why is it 12? Chase is 100% correct. Because
He had a 50-50 shot.
everything that's not 3.3 or 5 is 12, and that's everything else. That's the only 3.3. What's the only 5 volt plug?
The floppy.
The floppy drive. So if it ain't 3.3 or 5, it's 12. So he has a 100% chance of guessing any other plug correctly because it's going to be a 12 volt. Okay, this is a 12 volt AMD plug that only is on AMD motherboards.
Missed it. Missed it. You went back.
I was trying to go back. How do I go back?
Dude, you really need to restart your computer.
Does the back arrows work? I was making new pages. Okay, so this one is one for a Pentium 4. The Pentium 4, the Intel motherboard power supply is a 4-pin power supply, and on an AMD, it's an 8-pin. It's still 12 volts. That's why when you buy your power supply, you need to know if it comes with the AMD motherboard adapter or not, because if it doesn't, you're going to be like, crap, now I got to order one of those. Okay?
Dude. Okay,
Sometimes they have both plugs on them. I bought motherboards that have this plug and the Pentium 4 Intel plug for the motherboard. Yes.
you see those two, the X16s? How come they look different?
How come the X16s, these two, how come these two look different than what?
You see the bottom
They
clip?
just have different notches on the end, that's all. I don't know why.
But they're
All that is a lock-in notch that when you put in your card, it snaps in there so that it can't move. Because if it's screwed in here and it's locked in there, that video card's not moving. And part of the reason they have to have this anymore, how many things can hook on one video card anymore? 4. A good high-end video card has 4 plugs on it. It'll push 2 monitors and have a couple HDMIs. Sometimes you'll see them with 4 HDMIs on the back of one. If you got all that stuff plugged into the back of one card, it's not really secure in there, that card's going to come unplugged. If a card pulls out while it's running, it could easily fry the motherboard, and then I've just lost my really expensive card and my nice motherboard.
The other one's the same thing?
Yes. I mean, I can't tell, but it looks like it says X16 at the end of that. Okay? It's just a different connector. Usually you see the same connector on both of them. That is the same connector as that one. I must have been hitting the new slide button when I was doing it. Maybe I should just stick with the arrows. Okay, so how many PCI slots do I have? 3. 1, 2, 3. How many PCIe X16 slots do I have? 2. We already pointed those 2 out right there. How many PCIe X1 slots do I have?
2.
I have 2 right here and here. Realize you got to look sometimes because these show out real nice because they're white. Sometimes those black ones, it's harder to look at. How many SATA connectors do I have?
6.
Okay. 6 right here.
Boom.
Okay. And when I ask you that question, I'm probably going to make ones that you can see easily. The ones that point to the side, it's really hard, but every one that goes to the side has 2 plugs on it, just so you know, for your own knowledge, but I won't give you one of those. Those are my front panel connectors. That's where all these wires and plugs that have access in the front connect up to. Here's my USB, and I know that because it says USB right on the inside of that plug right there. And then obviously here's all my back panel connectors. What is most likely under this right here?
North Bridge.
Okay, my North Bridge, okay? And under this is my
South
Bridge chipset, okay? Added a whole bunch of blank lights. Okay, so I got my P1 connector, which we already said is how many volts? 3.3.
That is weird.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know what's going on. Okay, so that's 3.3 volts. And here we are in chapter 3. I got AC and DC. AC is the most efficient way to transmit electricity. It's 120 volts. And how many hertz? Do we remember? It cycles at 60 hertz, okay? Electrical power cycles back and forth 60 times a second, okay? And that is not the best thing for electrical components, so we have to change it into direct current or DC power, and we do that with the power supply, which first rectifies it, which turns it from alternating to direct, and then it transforms it into lower voltages. Our 3 voltages being 3.3,
5 and 12.
5, and 12. And this is really hard to write when I can't see what I'm writing.
You should restart your computer.
Don't have time for that.
Yeah, you
Short
do.
class period. Okay, need to know my definitions. Voltage is potential. In my analogy with the water pipe, it's the size of the pipe. The bigger pipe does not mean necessarily that there's more water going through it. It depends on what the current is going through. The current is going through it, and amps is current. That's when I turn on the pipe, how fast it comes through. And the total amount of water or the total amount of power is the product of volts times amps. So volts times amps equals watts. Okay, if I was to tell you that my hard drive is pulling 2 amps, how many watts is it pulling? The answer would be, we do know. My hard drive is pulling 2 amps, how many watts is it pulling?
24.
The answer is 24, because you know the voltage of all the plugs. It's either 3.3, 5, or 12. Okay? And if hard drives are 12 volts, and I give you the amps, 2 amps, it means it's going 24 watts of power.
That's crazy.
Okay?
It's madness.
You might see a question like that on the final exam, yes.
Can I get a drink?
No, we don't have time for that. We'll sit there.
We don't have time for your shenanigans, Nick.
We're almost done. Let's sit down in our seat and not lean back. Hurt ourselves. Give the laptop away. Why is it even sitting there? Shit out.
A bunch of cuss words, but I'm not.
Okay, so volts is potential. Volts is potential. Amps is ignore Mr. Hafner and his clumsiness. Amps is current and wattage is total power. Need to know that. Guarantee you we will have a matching questions just like we did back on chapter 3. Okay, we have different devices to protect our equipment. Surge suppressors protect us from what? Spikes, okay? Temporary voltage increases. Okay? Surge protectors protect us from spikes. Power conditioners protect us from
Brownout.
I'm swearing brownouts,
That's racist, Austin.
which are temporary voltage decreases.
Blackout.
And ups protect us from blackouts.
Pink out.
That's racist too.
Total loss of electrical
How come we don't
power.
have whiteouts?
Okay?
Because it's not white. The power goes out. We do have.
If it's
whiteouts.
did you
You
Go
understand?
bright
It's called a blackout because the room is black. It's dark.
Why is it called a brownout though?
Yeah.
Because it gets dimmer. Have you ever been here when we have brownouts? We used to have those all the time.
Yeah, but it doesn't get brown in the
No, it doesn't.
room.
But it doesn't get
Yeah,
black.
but
It gets.
when
It
it's
should be
certain-
called a gray
When
out.
it's surging,
So if a black guy walks in, I'm gonna go, hey, it's brownout.
Listen, when the power goes on, the lights start to get brighter. Wait, that's a whiteout. Not a surge is whiteout.
Okay, we're,
No, a whiteout is when the snow is so freaking
That's
dense
right.
that you can't see it.
You can't-
Oh, I hate that. Like when you walk and get blinded from it.
No, not that.
So all
When
that,
it's
you know,
snowing
just
so
so you know,
hard
we're
that
not wasting my time. This is your review. If you waste the whole rest of the class period, and all of a sudden you fail the exam, just blame those two right there.
Hey, don't blame me.
Okay.
That's a blizzard.
Okay.
No, it's a
So,
whiteout though.
surge suppressors suppress it a certain amount of clamping voltage. They're rated for a certain amount of voltage, like 1200 volts, 1200 volts, and they do it by sending it to ground. If you don't have a wrong grounded outlet, a surge suppressor won't work. Okay, it's just a power
Got that
strip.
the ground plug.
If you don't have the ground plug, okay, it won't work at all.
Neither will a whiteout.
Okay, power conditioners, I already said, protect against brownouts and regulate power. Ups have batteries in them. If I said which one has a battery in it, okay, it's an ups. Okay, you might see that question.
Is this an ups?
Okay, that is an ups with a faulty battery in it, and it doesn't really work, but it does have a battery in it.
The one that
It's a
says
bad
ultra.
What?
The one that says ultra also.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the battery's bad, I need to replace it. Because it only lasts so long. It needs a battery. Okay, a smart ups is connected to the computer and tells the computer when to shut down if it loses electrical power.
Wait, I thought it was plugged into the wall.
What?
I thought you said it was plugged into the wall.
It is, but it's
It
also,
is,
the
but
smart ups is
it's gotta
also
have
plugged
a-
into the computer.
It's gotta have a backup battery.
It has like a USB plug that goes from there to the computer, and it tells the computer shut down now, so it doesn't normally shut down instead of just getting turned on. Okay. Okay, we got to remember these numbers: 3,000 volts for a static electric charge if we feel it, 6,000 if we hear it, 8,000 if we see it. So if I said, Mr. Hapner just got 7,000 volts of static electricity just charged into him, could Mr. Behringer see it?
No.
No. Okay, it's enough for him to hear it. He heard the crack, but he didn't see the little blue spark. Okay? We have different ways we grind ourselves. We don't do any of these here, right? What do we do? How do we grind ourselves?
Touch the power supply.
Okay, first thing we do is to unplug the power. The second thing we do is to
Push the
power button.
push the power button in and hold it for approximately 20 per seconds to dissipate any power on the motherboard. Then we grab the
power supply.
power supply. And we walk away and we come back and we grab the power supply again. And we walk away and we come back. Anytime we're not doing anything, just touch the power supply. Okay? Doesn't hurt you.
Isn't that like the same thing like with cars? Like how like if you're pumping gas?
I don't know. You know, when I was filling up helicopters, they made a big deal about static electrical discharges and blah, blah, blah. We grounded it to two different spots. You know, a wire coming from the ground and plugged into the helicopter because it made a lot of static electricity because it was turning really fast.
Right.
Then I worried about static electric discharge because we put a highly flammable gas and at a very high rate, you know, chugging it in there. But in my car, I guess
Have you seen it like when people do that and they like, catch it on fire? And then they like pull it out, then it's like a flamethrower. Because they're like stupid, like they don't realize you just leave it in there and just run away or hit the shut
And
off.
let it blow up, yeah.
No, you hit the shut off, it'll just burn out, it's not gonna blow.
Anyway, so there's different ways to ground. You can use a cord, you can use a mat, we use static electric bags, okay? And then we've got EMI. We watched a little video with the little old lady with an AM radio showing EMI basically is when.
We never watched
What about
that.
some old lady?
We watched that video.
No, we didn't. You gotta show us this video.
Apparently the first block didn't watch it either. I'll send you a link to it.
No,
You can watch
don't
the
send
video
us a
on your
link.
own.
We wanna watch it now.
You can watch the video on your own.
We still have like 20 minutes.
He's just dying. Are you leaning back again? Okay. Okay, so EMI is when electrical signals cross each other. That happens with projectors all the time. The signal will be real messed up because maintenance got up in the ceiling and they slid a cable out of the way. And if that cable goes right across the power for the fluorescent light, all of a sudden this will look all messed up. I'll climb up in the ceiling and just move the cable off wherever the other electrical signal is, and so it comes out. Fine. If we have time at the end of the class, we'll put the class video with a little.
What if
Apparently it
there's
wasn't a class video if neither of your classes watched it.
I apparently didn't have you
what,
watch it.
what if there's a bunch of like blue dots or whatever like Miss Olive?
Yeah.
This old projector has like a bunch of blue dots on it.
I don't know. Now it does? They just replaced her projector. No. Alt. I'm thinking of alt.
So the
Replace
Sith
alt.
Lord is shot.
No,
Did you guys get those screens yet?
Yes, we just got them yesterday.
Okay, good. I am going to give you my tablet.
We
What
can
did we
leave
get?
it because third block is when
Wait.
Garrett comes in. I'll have him do it today.
What did we
Good.
get?
Wait, what happened?
He's got a messed up tablet that
My
he's
tablet's
trying to-
all.
He dropped his tablet and he's
I did
trying to
not
blame
drop
the
my
screen.
tablet.
Look, it got all messed up in the middle where I accidentally kicked it.
Oh,
yeah.
so he kicked it?
No, I didn't.
And he didn't have it in the right case either.
Sorry.
But that's even worse.
Detention!
Okay, so I need to know. Everybody needs to know what voltages come out of which. We've already said it 3 or 4 times. 3.3, 5, and 12 on everything else.
Look.
I guarantee you'll have some matching ones like that. And when we talk about power supplies, there's different sizes of fans. There's 80 and 120. These are millimeter fans. The 80 are the smaller ones, the 120 are the bigger ones. Really doesn't mean one's better than the other. Okay, in fact, they've shown that while the 120 causes more air to come through, they use smaller components that generate more heat, so it's really kind of a wash.
That big old
Gamers can have lit up fans.
That's cool.
Not really, because then when you have it on at night, all of a sudden you have this big, huge light in your room.
Yeah.
Cool.
My dad has.
My son wanted one like that, and then all of a sudden he likes to listen to audiobooks when he goes to sleep, and now he's got a huge light in his room. He's like,
Nightlight.
disconnect that.
My dad
What color is it though?
has his computer in my
It's
room,
blue, actually.
and the power light and the side lights are both bright green. It's just right on your face.
I can't sleep with any light.
I can.
No light.
Yeah, that's like pinch
I have a
light.
fan right now.
I throw a blanket over my head.
Okay, so do I need to go over these again, the different kind of connectors? Obviously 3.3, 12, 12, 12, 12, 5, okay? So if you're matching them up, we're obviously going to do one like this. Let's do my son's that I'm building right now, okay? So it's obviously got a motherboard, so I got 50. His has got a dual core processor. I may not tell you what kind of cores it has. You may have to look it up, okay? His is a Phenom 550. Let's look up Phenom 550. So if you get to this and you're like, I don't know, all I said was a Phenom 550.
Nice.
Phenom 550. No, it's kind of low end. It's not that. Okay, so here's the Phenom 550. Actually, this processor. Okay, so it's out of stock right now, but I bought it a while ago. So how many cores is it? 2. It's a dual core, 3.1 gigahertz, and it's got 6 meg of cache. It's not bad. It's 2512, and it's got 6 meg of cache. It'll make a decent machine. So we got dual core. Okay, it's gonna have a gamer video card in it. Okay, it's gonna have 2 sticks of RAM.
You have no tissues.
Okay, it's gonna have an optical hard drive. It's gonna have a hard drive, and it's got 8 USB. Okay, now the USB is the only one that I say include in your calculation because you very likely you may use them. Expansion card slots you only include if it's being used. So let's figure out what we got here. So we got 125 up here, and I got 120 for the video, and then I got 30, 30,
25,
60,
8 times the word.
85, and then another 24 down here. So I got 245, and I got 109.
9 plus 5 is 4.
14.
Okay, that's my calculator. What is my minimum?
400.
400. What is my
450.
recommended?
450.
If I give you a power supply, by the way, oops, this is a 400. If I show you a power supply that's 550 watts, and I said, is this good for the recommended? Is the answer true or false?
False.
True.
What?
It's 450 or more. Okay, power supplies don't use more power if.
I thought you said it needed 550.
No, I said the 550 power supply
Oh,
work.
yes.
Yes. Okay, it's 450 or more. They only use as much power as getting pulled out, and this is the max
Dude, I could
wattage that can be pulled through without burning it out. Okay? So my son calculated 354, I only got a 400. Oh well, that's what I got. Too bad.
I could rock.
Must have calculated something
How
wrong.
much did you get him?
Huh?
How much did you get him one? Went to his power supply.
I got him a 400.
Oh.
So, and I did add an extra cooling fan too.
Wow.
Actually, I think he only has 6 USBs. That must be one. Because I did figure it out. So if I took off 2 USBs, that'd be 6 off. That'd be 348. No, anyway.
It'd
You
still be
definitely will have
bad.
one of those. Do you know where this chart came from?
Your brain.
My brain. Okay, it's a close guesstimation of all those numbers that come out of using the online calculator. Okay, online calculator is more accurate because every dual core doesn't use the same amount of power. Every quad core doesn't use the same amount of power.
They should.
This is an estimate. It's an easy to do estimate for you guys, but the online calculator is much more accurate than that
Well, we
is.
don't like that one.
I'm
Okay.
like pop right now.
What's the first indication of a bad power supply?
I like it.
Fan's not spinning.
Fan's not turning, okay? I need to look at the back, I put my hand on the back, there's no airflow, the fan's not spinning, I have a bad power supply. Even if the computer is still working right now, you need to
It's
replace
slowing
that power
down.
supply, okay? You might need to replace it also if the power supply, not just for that, but if you've added new devices. If I was to add another card onto my son's, total impossibility, there are no slots. But if I was to add another card, I might take it over its maximum, and there's no other, it only has 2 SATA slots, and they're already taken, so I can't add anything more to
Do you
that
teach your
computer.
sons all this?
What?
Do you teach your sons all about computers? Really?
I mean, they see me working on them in the dining room and can come in and ask questions, but they're busy.
What time do we get out of here?
I don't know. When the bell rings.
See, he's like your son. He doesn't
Okay,
care.
so when we troubleshoot power, we troubleshoot for the wall out. Okay, so if a computer's not starting, first, is the circuit breaker on? Do I have power to something else? I'm not plugging the lamp to see. If that works, just because the surge protector is plugged in doesn't mean they've turned it on. It happens all the time that we go down really, you gotta turn on your power strip. It has happened on 2 occasions where the power strip is on, it's lit, it just doesn't let anything come through, it's burnt out. Okay, so that can happen too. If my power is good all the way to my PC, I can test it using the power supply tester. Everyone in here did that, right? You only have 1 student in first block that missed that day, because that will be on the final exam. 1/5 of you will get power supply problems. Okay? Some people have power supply problems in their computers, some of them will have hard drive problems, some of them will have motherboard problems, some people have CD-ROM problems, some will have driver problems.
Some will have no RAM.
Okay? Well, I don't have no RAM, but it could have bad RAM.
Oh.
I keep bad RAM so that I can put it in your computer for your final exam. So. Okay, if you smell odors, you see loose connections, by the way, don't troubleshoot with your nose. I think I told you the story about my engineer who did that and passed out.
No, that's what he gets.
So make sure that you don't, if you've got smoke, unplug and clear the area. Okay? And if you got a bad fan, in general, just replace the power supply. They're not that expensive. Okay? If it's overheating, first of all, what's the maximum potential for electrical components before they fail? 185 degrees. Okay, you should know that. 185 degrees. There should be clear and unobstructed airflow through my computer. Everything should blow out the back, or in the case of my computer, my power supply is right here in the front, and everything blows out the front. Whichever way it's going, all the air should go the same way. Every once in a while, you should open it up, vacuum out the inside, because it is pulling all that crap in your house through your computer all the time. I guarantee you, if you've never opened up your computer and you've got it running for 3 or 4 years and sitting on the floor by your bed or by your desk, it's probably all fucked up.
Right now.
Okay? So you got to make sure you got good airflow. Everything should go out. Nothing should come
Check it
in.
out. Grab it. Where you look.
Okay, sometimes there are other fans that you put on the front, and that would be a case where you have it suck air in. It's not yours.
Who printed it?
It's Coach K's. It's $9.13.
That's the Duke code.
It's like a book.
It's the Duke code.
Look at that.
Duke basketball.
You printed this out.
Check the top.
I
It
found
doesn't say, but I can look online. I can see everything that printed out everywhere.
Should I have stopped it?
No.
I'm sorry, I let you down.
I told you to stop it,
No,
Austin.
the only other person that prints it here is
Mr. A.
So. Okay. So then we got to chapter 4. And we didn't even get over any of this in first block. I'm going to ask you if you have questions that you specifically want me to address because I can't get through all chapter 4.
Yes, can we play Counterstrike?
No.
So I get a drink.
No.
I'm dying.
It is a strategy
Just a
game.
second.
Hey,
I'm not going to lunch. They are. I am dying. Yeah, video.
Oh, would you like to see the
Josh,
the video?
Josh,
Yeah.
Josh. Look at his arms. His arms are freaking like.
Hey,
I don't know where I kept the
No.
trail screen.
I'm talking about the hair on his arm.
oh yeah, that's true.
When he flexes the drill bit.
You know what? I have them. They're all over here under technology resources. And the videos, let's see, hardware videos.
Your toner's low.
I got it, Josh. Let's see, beat codes.
Yeah, he does.
You see it? Look at there.
EMI, right there.
Where?
Clever too.
EMI right there.
Especially Allison.
What?
True.
Allison is
Both of them.
not a nice
Mr.
person.
A favors goes over guys.
We need sound. My left knee, I feel like an old man.
Because you are.
Shut up. Look at this six pack.
Hey, don't worry. I got some gray hair going on. It's been making me mad.